The question perhaps should be, why can't they tell the truth? Why do Trump's people have to come out immediately with a version of events that is at the very best completely unprovable, and at the worst, and sadly at this stage most likely juncture, it is absolutely false. You can literally watch the footage, and the claims that officers were in danger are utterly bogus. A woman was shot in the face, an American citizen was shot in the face while trying to drive away from the officers that shot her. And yet you can have someone as important as the Homeland Security Secretary standing up and telling the American people to reject the evidence of...
You just heard a question that cuts straight through the noise. Not what happened, because the footage answers that, but why. When the truth is visible to everyone, those in power still choose to deny it. This isn't confusion. It's a strategy. And what follows exposes exactly how it works.
I suppose if it hasn't happened already, the next stage of the process will be the people who love the racism trying to blame the murder on the people who hate it. Because that's the way it works. I mean, it's so depressing, isn't it, that you can plot these graphs so completely. It will be the fault of the people who are opposed to largely untrained and unaccountable so-called ICE officers discharging firearms, arresting American citizens, acting with comparative impunity, not having the courage even to uncover their own faces on the streets of the United States of America. What you might call state-sanctioned terrorists marching through the streets of cities where they have been deployed for entirely political reasons, often against the wishes of the democratically elected local governments. But of course, the online motivated goons and sympathizers will now be claiming that it is the fault of the people that oppose state-sanctioned terrorism that state-sanctioned terrorism is happening. Just watch it. I know, I'm not on Twitter anymore, but I bet you, if you have a quick look, that process is already underway. This is all the fault of the people that oppose state-sanctioned terrorism. This is all the fault of the people that oppose the arrest of anybody that they don't like the look of for the crime of looking a bit foreign, or not even that anymore. You get shot in the face for trying to drive away from armed officers, securing the knowledge that you haven't done anything wrong. So have a listen to the mayor of Minneapolis responding in very emotional terms to what has happened. His name is Jacob Frey. And it is a reminder of what this looks like if you are refusing to ignore the evidence of your eyes and ears.
They are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying, getting killed. There were dozens, if not hundreds, of ICE and federal officers that were there at the time. Having them there was only causing more chaos. Having them there was only making a difficult situation even more problematic, and one that, yes, they created themselves. There's little I can say, again, that'll make this situation better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you. And it's also on you to leave. It's on you to make sure that further damage, further loss of life and injury is not done.
We've been warning for weeks that the Trump administration's dangerous, sensationalized operations are a threat to our public safety, that someone was going to get hurt. Just yesterday, I said exactly that. What we're seeing is the consequences of governance designed to generate fear, headlines, and conflict. It's governing by reality TV. And today that recklessness cost someone their life. I've reached out to Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, and I'm waiting to hear back. Donald Trump and his administration may not care much about Minnesota. That's been pretty evident. But we love this state. We won't let them tear us apart. We'll not turn against each other. To Minnesotans, I say this: I feel your anger. I'm angry. They want a show. We can't give it to them. We cannot. The hearts and minds of the people in this state are on our side. To Americans, I ask you this: please stand with Minneapolis. To Minnesotans, know that our administration is going to stop at nothing to seek accountability and justice.
And then Kristi Noem, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, apparently watching entirely different footage from that which the rest of the world can see.
ICE agents repeatedly ordered her to get out of the car and to stop obstructing law enforcement, but she refused to obey their commands. She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. This appears as an attempt to kill or to cause bodily harm to agents, an act of domestic terrorism. The ICE officer, fearing for his life and the other officers around him and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots.
So I wonder, having listened to that, and I presume you've watched the footage by now, it's on the LBC website, it's everywhere. And the question perhaps should be, why can't they tell the truth? Why do Trump's people have to come out immediately with a version of events that is at the very best completely unprovable? And at the worst, and sadly at this stage most likely juncture, it is absolutely false. You can literally watch the footage, and the claims that officers were in danger are utterly bogus. A woman was shot in the face, an American citizen was shot in the face while trying to drive away from the officers that shot her. And yet you can have someone as important as the Homeland Security Secretary standing up and telling the American people to reject the evidence of their eyes and ears. It was sadly not her final, most essential command. It's normal business. Was she watching a completely different video, asks Richard and many of you. So I can't do a phone-in about what we see, because there is no debate. We've found this a few times recently. There's no debate about whether Donald Trump broke international law when he went into Venezuela. You can have a debate about whether or not it was somehow justified, but I'd remind you of the words of Margaret Thatcher. You can't have a debate about these things. That plays into the trap. I think that's what Tim Walz was talking about when he said, don't give them a show. Don't respond with the sort of violence that they claim justifies this state-sanctioned terrorism. So what do you have a conversation about? You have a conversation about why. Why? Because we talked a lot about the rule of law on the international stage this week. You would have to be, I think, a little bit bonkers to think that the ICE agent responsible for killing this woman is going to be fully investigated and potentially punished. You would just have to be. I don't know enough about American law to know where federal trumps state or where state trumps federal or about what it happens. But I want you to tell me why Kristi Noem can't tell the truth about this, why she can't tell the truth about this. 0345 6060973. So this woman has watched a fellow American woman be killed in cold blood, in broad daylight, on the streets of America. And her job is to come on live television and lie egregiously and obviously, knowing that some media organisations will fall into the trap of having a debate about it, pretending that there are conflicting versions of events, pretending that there is in some way a self-defence argument. Donald Trump has already joined in, saying he's watched the video and he's concluded that the officer was acting in self-defence. It is intellectually impossible to do that. It may, as I say, be the case that other footage emerges at some point in the future that creates the possibility that this was self-defense. But there is no earthly way that a car moving at a snail's pace in the vicinity of a man holding a gun necessitates the man holding the gun shooting the woman moving at snail's pace in order to protect himself. It is insane for Donald Trump to claim that the woman screaming was obviously a professional agitator. How can he know that? The woman driving the car was very disorderly, obstructing and resisting. You've seen the same footage, who then violently, willfully and viciously ran over the ICE officer. You've seen the same footage. You've seen the ICE officer not get run over. And then he adds, who seems to have shot her in self-defense. Based on the attached clip, this is where I think... I don't want to say with respect, because I think you're disgusting, but the people who were wringing neck towards the end of his show, claiming that there's something here that's defensible or justifiable, this is where he treats you like an idiot. When he says, based on the attached clip, it is hard to believe he is alive. You've watched the same clip. You've seen the same footage. One of them falls over, one of them gets out of the way and shoots a woman in the face. Based on that footage, it's hard to believe that the shooter is alive? The situation is being studied in its entirety. Oh, and here it is. I'm sorry, I hadn't read this to the end when I told you that they'd start trying to blame it on the people who are opposed to the fascism. The reason these incidents are happening is because the radical left is threatening, assaulting and targeting our law enforcement officers. And that moves the question I'm asking you front and centre, doesn't it? Why can't they tell the truth? 0345 6060973. So it's a fascinating question. I don't know the answer to it. I've got theories, I've got ideas, I've got threads that we can tug together, but I want yours first. Why can't they tell the truth? Why can't they simply say, we support what ICE do, we support the mission, we believe in its necessity, but obviously this officer needs to be fully investigated because at first glance it looks like he's committed murder. Why can't they do that? Why can't they admit that they can see what everybody else can see? Why can't they tell the truth? Can't. Not won't, but can't.
What you've just watched isn't a disagreement over facts. It's something far more disturbing than that. In a functioning democracy, video evidence ends the argument. It doesn't begin a debate. It settles one. But here, the footage isn't being challenged with new evidence. It's being overwritten with authority. This is the critical shift. Power no longer needs to convince you that its version is true. It only needs to insist that your eyes are unreliable. When officials stand in front of cameras and describe events that clearly did not happen, they're not making a mistake. They're testing something. How much reality can be bent before people stop trusting themselves? And once that line is crossed, accountability collapses. Because if truth is optional, then responsibility is impossible. What makes this moment so dangerous isn't just the shooting itself. It's the immediate, coordinated refusal to acknowledge what everyone saw. The speed of the denial. The confidence of the lie. And the expectation that the public will play along, politely debating fiction as if it deserves equal weight. This is why the question matters. Not was it self-defense, but why can't they tell the truth? Because the truth limits power. It creates consequences, and consequences are exactly what this system is designed to avoid. So the next time you're told not to believe what's right in front of you, remember this moment. Remember how easily reality was dismissed, and ask yourself, if they'll lie about something this visible, what else are they asking you not to see? If this breakdown mattered to you, leave a comment with your view, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more unfiltered analysis, because truth only survives when people refuse to let it disappear.